I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 209. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Chardello, coming to you on Tuesday, October 7th, and a tough loss for the Bobcats. 31-30 loss to the Red Wolves. The Bobcats went all the way up to Jonesboro. It was an ugly game at first for 3 quarters, and then it got bonkers in the fourth quarter. 6 combined touchdowns. Texas State misses the PAT on their last touchdown. Arkansas State doesn't. That's the difference in the game. Lots of mistakes made in that game. There were some good things too. We'll talk about both. We'll talk about what this means for the rest of the season for Texas State. We'll talk a little bit of recruiting. There's good news there, so hang in there for some good news. And then we'll get to a mailbag. Oh, it's a salty mailbag this time. Been a minute since we did one. Always fun to hear from you sickos. So I'm going to have a lot of fun reading that one. So this is going to be a jam-packed, great episode. Can't wait to get to it. But before we get there, this episode is brought to you by TGC LLC, the Galindo Collective.com. That's Galindo, thegalindocollective.com. A team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. If you own property or a business and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com and follow their social media platforms on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at TGC_LLC, and on Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to TGC LLC. It's their 3rd season sponsoring Win Now or Get Bent, and we are back with the TGC ticket giveaway this week. Homecoming game against Troy. Stay frosty out there, sickos. We'll be unveiling that on Thursday, so look out for it if you're on Twitter. Until then, check out the Galindo Collective on their social media platforms and at thegalindocollective.com. That's Galindo, galindocollective.com. Let's give one shout out to bhihats.com. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, Win Now or Get Bent on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. You can see me wearing the state hat that they offer at bhihats.com. Usually I'm wearing the Cats by 90, but my wife stole it. I don't know where it's at. I was going to record. Oh, yeah, I need a hat. Couldn't find it, so I had to grab this one. Luckily, thank you to Nick Gates at BHI Hats for sending me multiple hats because I need them. They're hot. People will just come up and grab them. But they've got this state rope hat, 3D embroidery there. Same for the Cats by 90 that you've seen me wear before right here at Win Now or Get Bent. You punch in WNOGB at your checkout for your promo code. You get 10% off. So check them out. I know supplies are limited, so get in there. bhihats.com. Been having it hats. Gotta have it. Been having it. How about that one? All right, let's get to the Bobcats. Let's get to this game on Saturday. Now, I promised when I called for questions on the mailbag I was going to record on Monday. It is actually Tuesday. I started to prep and everything and going over it, and I was like, you know what? I want to hear from GJ Kinney and whomever else they bring out. And it was nice they brought out Chris Don Jr. Always great to hear from him. And we also heard from Dexter McCoyle, defensive coordinator, which is really who I wanted to hear for, which I appreciated that they brought him out without anybody having to ask or anything. I know there are quite a few questions about him and everything, and we will definitely go over it. But let's start with GJ Kinney. He's 4-5 in the month of October at Texas State. 2-2 the last 2 seasons, and now 0-1 this year. I think he has 5 games in October this season. That Tuesday game that they have against JMU, that might just still be 4. But yeah, so it's going to be the month of October has seemed to given him trouble early on in his tenure as a head coach. Not sure what that's about, but same thing for bye weeks. 0-3 on the bye week for GJ Kinney. This is the 3rd season that he has lost during a bye week. I asked him at the press conference what he made of that. Is there anything he's learned? Because we've seen him set up these teams when they have time off in between the end of the season to a bowl game. They've looked terrific the last 2 seasons at the First Responders Bowl, beating Rice and then beating UNT. They stayed prepared. They stayed fresh, but they haven't been able to during the regular season. Not sure what the situation is there, but he's in. Obviously, this excuse, you can only say it so much as the older he gets. He is a young coach. He's young in his head coaching career. He has a lot to learn about preparing his players, not just going on the road, but also coming off of a bye week and staying fresh and not losing that motivation despite the extra time off. Now we have 3 seasons. We can kind of see a pattern. You see 2, it's like, okay, 2 can be a coincidence. 3 starts to be a pattern. You look at it, that 0-3. So there's something that he needs to look at about what they do and how they prepare their team during a bye week, because it's been an issue. 0-3 is not good. You're supposed to be better, healthier, and everything. It seemed like we got to speak to Chris Don. He was able to get healthy on the bye week. I thought that was interesting. When he came out, he talked about all throughout the beginning of the season, the first few games, he had been playing injured, and he was able to rest up. They held him out of that Nichols game. Then he got an extra week with the bye. After some rest, we saw him get a whole bunch of targets against Arkansas State. So look out for Chris Don. He was able to have some success and average 20 yards a catch while injured. So let's see how that shakes out. But I digress. G.J. Kinney now 9-8 overall against the Sun Belt. That one really shocked me, how close he is to 500 on that one when you go look at it. There is some work to do in the middle of the season for Texas State, because they'll start hot and they finish hot. We've seen, at least the first 2 seasons with G.J. Kinney, that's been the situation. They finish the regular season hot, and then they keep that momentum going into the bowl game. What is it about this mid-season lull that they need to look inward at and figure out? Because this was another game where it was a close game, 31-30. It came down to coaching mistakes, and it's not just on G.J. Kinney. I think there were mistakes made on defense as well. So there was a lot of coaching issues in that one. It's obviously the players, they play the game, they got to get in there and do what they do, but you can't help but look at some of these decisions we're about to go through and not wonder, okay, maybe there is some cleaning up to do with this coaching staff, because again, they're young, but that's getting old. That's starting to wear away. This is the 3rd season with them at Texas State. 2nd season for Dexter McCoyle as the DC. And when I say young careers, really Dexter McCoyle's career is very young. This is his 4th season overall as a coach in college, only 2nd season as a DC. So there is, but the learning curve only goes so long, But a lot of what G.J. Kinney said when he came up to the podium was complimentary football. Have to make complimentary football. Obviously, there were some situations like when they scored towards the end of the 4th quarter. They had a minute and a second left, and they decided to score really quickly. Arkansas State let them score really quickly, get that touchdown out of the way. G.J. Kinney said he was confident that they were going to be able to hold them on defense, even though Arkansas State, they had 2 timeouts left. Didn't even need the timeouts really on that drive. They just they went right down the field, 6 plays, 75 yards. So that there was a lot of issues when it came to decisions that were made. Because even when the decision to not run some more of the clock out before scoring, maybe make Arkansas State use some of those timeouts. Yeah, that was a mistake. And obviously missing the extra point by Tyler Robles, that's a mistake as well. But the prevent defense we saw at the end, it really just let them go right down the field, not even use a timeout. I mean, when you have a minute left and the other team needs a touchdown, it's not like they needed a field goal or anything like that. They needed a touchdown. They needed to stay out of the end zone, and couldn't make that happen. That has me very worried about this defense, how the offense, how Jalen Raynor and Corey Rucker and these guys that they saw last season, and they were able to hand a 41-9 loss, that they were able to just flip a switch in that 4th quarter and rattle off 3 touchdowns like it was nothing. It's very concerning. And I know the first 3 quarters, yes, they only scored 10 points. But there were times in those 3 quarters where they had turnovers that were right there that they literally dropped. They dropped 2 interceptions. There was a fumble that Arkansas State was able to recover. There were some Bobcats around it, but an Arkansas State player was able to jump on that ball. Those were 3 opportunities to get a turnover for a defense that has 1 turnover on the whole season, 1 interception. It came in garbage time against Nicholls State. I mean, this defense is they are starving for turnovers. Sacks are down, tackles for a loss are down. I have numbers here, I'm kind of just going on, but 2025 defense through 5 games, 32 tackles for a loss, it's 6.4 per game, 12 sacks, it's 2.4 per game. Now, you go to 2024, it was 97 through 13 games, it's 7.4 a game, 36 sacks, it's 2.7 a game. So you're down in both those categories from last year. And granted, they lost a lot of players that they lost in the portal. But to be down that much after just 1 year is something. But you go all the way back to 2023, when it was Jonathan Patke was the defensive coordinator. They had 108 tackles for a loss that season, 8.3 a game, and 40 sacks, 3.1 a game. So you're missing a good chunk of defensive production in those TFLs, in those pass rush. It's a rush and cover, is every bend don't break. A lot of that depends on this defensive line and the pass rush, not just the D-line. I mean, hanging on just them. The pass rush in general to get after the quarterback, to stop plays behind the line of scrimmage so that you're not having to rely on DBs that are scrambling. And it hasn't been there like it has for most of the time. The first 3 seasons, or the first couple seasons we've seen out of this style of defense, this 4-2-5 defense. 1 turnover all season. 1 turnover all season. Just that interception I mentioned, that's ranked last in the Sun Belt. 0 forced fumbles, that's ranked last. So not just fumble recoveries, they haven't forced a fumble. If there has been a fumble that the other team has recovered, it was by their own doing. They dropped the ball. And 0 fumble recoveries as well. Last in the Sun Belt. So those are 3 categories that they are dead last in the Sun Belt that are pretty important ones. So there's a lot to look at from that game on Saturday. And yeah, there's a lot to break apart about some of those decisions, because it wasn't even the decision to not slow it down, which I'm going to be honest, I'm not overly. It wasn't great. You should slow it down. Hindsight's 2020, definitely. But I understand his reasoning that the defense should stop the team from out of the end zone, 75 yards, a minute left in the game. That's not asking too much of your defense. So I really think, because even 3-1, those first 4 games when they're 3-1, the defense. There were flaws. There was a lot of flaws. Even in the 35-3 win over Nicholls State, there was they were getting a lot of movement. They couldn't push it and find the end zone. Nicholls State couldn't, but they were still able to get some movement on this team. There's a lot of issues with the defense. And when we talked to Dexter McCoyle, he admitted it is a leadership issue. Whether that's from himself, but also from players. You have a lot of new players who are transfers coming in that are new to the scheme. Maybe they don't know exactly where to be in the particular spots that they're supposed to. You can see the communication. I can see it from the broadcast on the Arkansas State game. The communication was off, especially on the back end of the defense. You can almost see players that look like they're arguing before the snap even goes off. You have those players with new players that are unsure of where they're supposed to be. But even the players that came back that have been in this system, they haven't been in these leadership roles, and now they're asked to be in these leadership roles, and it's not working out. I don't know if they need to do personnel changes, move some guys around. There's a lot of guys that I'm waiting to see. I feel like I got to see a lot of Devarick Woods on the defensive line, and he looked really good. I know I've been itching to see a J.P. Dieter come in there. I was hyping up Jaden Lawton, the corner, with all the offers he had. There's a lot. I think they need to cycle through some guys, because we've seen this scheme work. It's never been a shutout style of defense, but it does enough where when your offense scores 30 points, that should be enough. That should be enough. That's why I don't really the quarter, especially quarters 2 and 3 for the offense, didn't look great. But 30 points should still be enough. If they're able to rattle off 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, that should be enough for this defense. And, I talked about the decisions for G.J. Kinney. There was the one in the third quarter. It's tied 10-10, and he goes for it on 4th down from the 16-yard line. Would have been a 33-yard field goal. Would have given Texas State a 13-10 lead in a game where points are at a premium. You got to take the points. Honestly, any game, you take the points. And I'll be honest, this has been an issue with GJ Kinney. He loves scoring. He wants to literally light up the scoreboard. That was one of the first things he said when he got to Texas State. And I love that about him, man. He wants to score a lot of points, want to get it in there, but sometimes you got to take the points. You got to lean on your kicker. Robles, who's 5 for 6 on the season, seen him hit a 50-yarder, hit a 31-yarder in the first half. So he could have hit that 33-yarder in the second half. And then, who knows? I'm probably overthinking it with this one. But then he misses a PAT. You got to wonder if he was questioning himself and wondering if the coach is questioning him when we don't take that field goal in the third quarter. Because, I mean, it's the mental space of a kicker is a fragile ecosystem. You got to really it's so much of it is mental at that position. You got to have immense focus. I think of it as like you have a team full of football players and you almost have a golfer with a club on his leg, waiting to come out there and do something. They're almost different athletes. But I'm probably honestly overthinking it as I say it even out loud and everything. I don't think his mind was too wrecked on that PAT, but I don't know what happened there. That missed PAT. But yeah, take the points. GJ Kinney, take the points. This isn't something where I'm like, oh man, this is a huge issue that he'll never get better at. That's one I feel like that just takes more maturing as a coach. The older he gets, the less fun that is to say, because you have to at some point mature and take the points. Just take them. I mean, especially in a game like that. I think if you're not down by a score, I'm not going for it on fourth down if I'm in field goal range. Just not going to do it. But I digress. Even on all that, I still really I look at the defense, but there were offensive miscues, and that's why I don't mean to fully harp on Dexter McCoyle, because I still think he's a terrific coordinator. I think there's a lot he has to clean up. He's having a bad time right now. That's for sure. I know he's not having fun. I mean, even when they brought him out for the press conference, and I thought that was good for him as a young coordinator to get out there and like, hey, face a little bit of heat. Not that, it's not that much heat. You don't have ESPN or any of the big time media out here breathing down your neck, but it was good for him to just still field some questions about the defense. We'll see how they do the rest of the season. Some more offensive miscues, 4 holding calls on the offensive line. That was a lot. It was a lot. It really felt like a lot more because it negated 2 big first downs and a touchdown by Greg Burrell, who's looking great, by the way. Well, I think I have a note on him. We'll talk about Greg Burrell. But that, those holding calls felt like way more than it was because of how important they were. But I will say a strong day overall for the offensive line. I've actually been pretty happy with the offensive line, and who knows, you run the tape and where they tic-tac holding calls, who knows? You hear people say you could call holding on every down. As a former defensive lineman myself, I agree. Even when they get in there, it looks like they're punching. They grab the shoulder pads. They're cheaters. They're no good. But yeah, Texas State's offensive line, PFSN, they posted some most snaps without any pressures in the FBS. Number 1 on that list was Brock Riker, 155 snaps without any pressures. So great stuff from the freshman. I will say some of the snaps were high. You were seeing Brad Jackson having to reach up or maybe even give a little leap to catch some of those. I know he's new to the center position, I'm pretty sure. He may have played when he was younger, but at least at the collegiate level, he was a guard. And that's something I was talking to the Wizard, Zachary Webb, great producer of Wizard Wednesday. Check that one out. Awesome episode last week. My guy called it. He even had this Arkansas State game as a trap game. If anybody remembers the season prediction, this was his trap game. He put Admiral Akbar on it and everything, and boy, was he right. I hate how right he was on that one. I love when the Wizard's right, but when it's a Texas State loss, it's tough. But he nailed it. He even nailed like the keys to the game. My guy is on fire. So check out Wizard Wednesday. But yeah, even he and I were talking about it, how interesting it's been all 3 years with GJ Kinney, Jordan Shoemaker as the offensive line coach. They've always moved a guard to center every time. Caleb Johnson in 23. Last year it was Chase Todd, and this year it's Brock Riker. And they'll do that even though they have centers on staff, like traditional centers on roster. So yeah, and Talik Lockett, 121, most snaps without any pressures. I hope I said that one. I don't know if I went off on Brock Riker, but Talik Lockett, 121 snaps, no pressures. He was 4th, I believe, on that list. I talked about all of those. And those are really at the summation of that is GJ Kinney. You got to take the points. GJ Kinney loves to use his gut on some of these plays where it's like, let's get in there, let's punch it in, let's score. Need to be a little more analytical in some of those areas. Honestly, I love his intuition, his gut, and everything. But even like the going for it on fourth down in the third quarter, the scoring too quick. Maybe you need somebody there to help you slow it down a little bit in certain situations. Somebody on staff. The Wizard, he's available if you're hiring. Go ahead. Yeah, I get 10% of his salary. That's the only thing you got. But the Wizard, he'd help you out there. But let's talk about some good stuff, and then we'll get to questions. I'll go quick. Brad Jackson's really good, really damn good, if I'm putting that on there. 1 interception his first 5 games. Not a great for 2.5 quarters in that game, right in the middle. They had that first drive, bam, went down the field, they scored. He had a rushing touchdown. It looked awesome. Then it looked shaky the next 2.5 quarters. Who knows what you can really pin that on? I look at him, he's a freshman quarterback, and we've seen this through his first 5 games where he almost starts a little shaky and then settles, and he looks really good. And that's what happened in this game. He turns it on towards the end. These are games, though, when you have a freshman quarterback where when the freshman is having freshman moments, you need the defense to do something. That's the complementary defense that GJ Kinney talks about. A lot of that is a turnover, just anything. Give him the ball in plus territory so he's in position to score at least, just something. They've got a quick 3 and out because you got, when you went back there, got a TFL and a sack, and it's just looking good. And granted, this Arkansas State game, this is the most sacks and TFLs they've had all season. 8 sacks, 5 TFLs in that game. So it did improve, but they also played against a quarterback who was running around all over the place, and I think that helped a little bit with that situation. But yes, let's go back to Brad Jackson. It says a lot about him that he can kind of be a gamer and sink in and finish it. I want him to figure out the beginning part, though, and start strong, finish strong, the whole deal. Have a strong game, and then they bring in the backups like we saw against Nichols. But 1,094 yards passing on the season, over 1,000 yards now. 7 touchdown passes to that 1 interception, 7-1. 259 yards rushing with 6 touchdowns. Leads the team in rushing touchdowns. Is second in yards behind Perry, 468 yards. 5.7 per carry for Perry. And then he's just ahead of Burrell, who's third. Burrell and Jenkins are tied at third with the exact same numbers of 167 yards rushing and 6 yards per carry. Shout out to both of them. Burrell, that's even with he didn't play a whole lot in that UTSA game. It's a couple games he didn't play a lot. I really think Burrell, Perry, that's the 1-2 combo. I've mentioned it before. Burrell is a terrific running back. I really want to see him get more carries. 4 touchdown passes the first game for Brad Jackson. Just 3 the last 4. That's a little concerning, if I'm being honest. He's getting in the end zone and on the ground. They've won. What is it? I guess since the first game, they're 3-2 since that first game with those. So I would like to see some more passing touchdowns from him. Maybe to Chris Don. He's feeling healthy now. We saw one at Titus Lyons, which was amazing. Titus Lyons, tight end, been on this team for 4 years, former walk-on. So many transfers over the years have come in. So many new guys are here to take his spot. And whether it was Spav in 2022 or the GJ Kinney era the last 3 years, he's able to get in there and carve out his role as a big blocker. And he finally is able, especially this year, they do that where he'll line up out wide and then he'll come in almost like a pulling guard, but he's at the tight end position and just smack somebody. I really like what they've done with that 3-back position, if you will. But it's similar to what they did at Incarnate Word. I mentioned that before. My guy Carl Schoening covered the Incarnate Word era for GJ Kinney, and they used to call it a 3-back. But we've seen a lot of that from Titus Lyons, so for him to be rewarded after all those blocks and everything he sets with a touchdown was fun. An athletic touchdown, reached out, hit the pylon. It's good stuff. Shout out to Titus Lyons. I'm ready for Chris Don to get in the end zone now. Chris Don Jr. Been calling for it for a while. I think he's a special receiver. You could see him with those routes. He looked a lot crisper on Saturday. That's why it was good to hear that he's feeling better. Let's go to recruiting. 77 in the nation, Texas State is. The Texas State Bobcats 2026 recruiting class is 77th in the nation. I'm not used to seeing the Bobcats above triple digits, let alone almost in the top 3/4 of the country in that one. They got that high after getting Xavier Warren, Georgetown receiver and DB. He's a high-end 3-star. Hold on. I didn't put a bunch of notes in my prep here, but I know I have the 247 page right here. I was just gawking at it. It looks really nice. 18 commits for 2026. 14 of them are 3-star or higher. One of them is a 4-star. We know about LaKeelan Graves. I've talked about LaKeelan Graves before, the Kilgore product. Our guy Damian Bartneck, shout out to Damian Bartneck. He's doing local news over in East Texas, and he had his game of the week was Kilgore, and he's a Texas State grad, worked in Texas State media when he's a student here, and he had to go get the interview with LaKeelan Graves. I retweeted it on Twitter. Go check that out. Seems like a great player. Shout out to Dame. Great stuff on that interview. He had an interception and a touchdown that game, which is fitting because him and Xavier Warren are both going to play DB and receiver. So not one, but two potential Travis Hunter-style players coming to Texas State next season. Xavier Warren, not a 4-star, but just barely. He's an 89 rating. If he's a 90 rating, then he's a 4-star on 247 Sports. So shout out to Xavier Warren. Some great athletes at the top of this recruiting class. Cullen Thompson right there at edge. Easton Webb. I still have, I want to go through and talk about a lot of these recruits. It feels like a weird time to do it, especially when we have a mailbag coming up. But that is exciting. Another commitment. They were recruiting during the bye week. Do they recruit too much? That's the next controversy. Is that what happened? No, obviously I'm kidding. But they are always on the trail, even on bye weeks. G.J. Kinney going out to LaKeelan Graves' game and everything, from what I've heard. So it's pretty cool stuff that they have this class, and we'll talk about. I know there's questions about it, about keeping these players and all that coming up. So we'll talk all about that. But let's go ahead and get to your questions. Let's do it. Because I'll tell you what, it is exceptionally hot in the studio today. I am on fire right now. You know what it is? I have a bunch of leaves over my garage, this tree in my front yard, and all the leaves fell, it being fall. So even though it's cooler outside, it's hotter in my garage because I don't have that shade. Shout out to Landon Lynch. He's the one who called for the mailbag. I appreciate that. It's a great time for a mailbag. Gave you guys a little time to heal a little bit, because boy, you guys were real hot in DMs right after that one. I had a few fire GJs in the DMs. I was like, all right, let's calm down, everybody. I'm going to wait for you guys to sober up and let the hangover subside, and then we'll ask for your questions on Monday. But here we go. Perry for Heisman. Oh, of course, this is at the top. How many interceptions would Geno Smith throw against his Texas State defense? Come on, Perry for Heisman. And I knew there was a burner account out there that was also a fellow Raiders fan. It's my guy, Perry for Heisman. So shout out to you, Perry for Heisman. How many interceptions would Geno Smith throw against this Texas State defense? Listen, I can't decide if Geno Smith needs to play a defense like Texas State more, or if Texas State needs to play a quarterback like Geno Smith more. So I don't know. What would happen there. Doesn't seem, it's not going well for either of those two in the interceptions department for the Texas State defense, and the throwing interceptions department for Geno Smith, the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback. How many interceptions does Geno Smith have? This is going to drive me insane. I already know it. Geno Smith stats. Show me. How many interceptions do we have on the season? 9. Is this real? 9? Oh my gosh, that was more than I thought. Is that real? He's got 9 interceptions. So bad. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say it. Texas State even Texas State would pick him off like 4 or 5 times, honestly. Apparently, that guy is the Raiders. This isn't Raiders Corner. This isn't Raiders Hour. But let me tell you, I have a lot of thoughts on the Raiders and how they have severely shot themselves in the foot my entire adult life. It's not great. And even looking at the quarterback situation, I don't know why I got excited about Geno Smith. I was talking to Zach in the offseason about Geno Smith. He's like, don't you remember West Virginia? All he could do was throw things behind the line of scrimmage. the Wizards right again. There you go. It's why you listen to Wizard Wednesday. Check them out every Wednesday. But yeah, Geno Smith is awful. He makes me the Bobcats, even 3-2. I know they're just coming off a loss, but it does make being a Raiders fan a little easier, getting to cover a team that's competent. Some of you probably don't feel that way after the last game, but yes, Perry for Heisman. Thank you for reminding me about Geno Smith and Pete Carroll and everything that's going on. We are wasting Max Crosby. We are wasting Ashton Ginty. Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers hurt. We have the best tight end duo in the league. It's what everybody said. Both are hurt. Unbelievable. All right, that was Raiders Corner. Now I'm depressed. Now I'm going to be real mad for the rest of these questions. So there you go. Let's go to our guy, Robert Garcia. What's up, Robert? Always great to hear from you. Your thoughts on not calling a timeout on the last drive? You call a timeout to slow them down. They absolutely gashed us for 54 seconds. Inexcusable on the coaching staff. I agree. You do slow it down, but I really think it's, like I was saying, it's more that how do you not stop them in the last minute? How do they needed a touchdown. It's not like they needed a field goal. They needed a touchdown and couldn't stop them. But yeah, no, I think that was a learning experience for GJ Kinney. It's like, oh yeah, okay. You can't, or especially a real funky game where the wheels completely fell off in that fourth quarter. Felt like for both defenses, it's you just take it and you move on. But yeah, I think that was the learning situation for GJ Kinney. Wasn't great. If we continue to see more decisions like that, then it's a whole other conversation. But don't think we will. I think that's between the Sam Houston game last year, which there was bad decisions in that one too, and this one this year. We've seen a few other circumstances where there are bad decisions, but it's going to happen. It's can't always knock it out of the park. But when you're a coach and you're paid a lot of money to do it, and you're held to a different standard, so you got to do it. Appreciate that one, Robert. This one's from Landon Lynch. Our guy Landon got the mailbag started. What's up, Landon? How do you feel about the loss, Kev? What do you think needs to happen to avoid losing the inexcusable ones? Man, this one for this season, it's defense. They got to do personnel changes. You got to do something where you can help this young quarterback in this offense. Because like I said, if you put up 30 points, should be able to win the game. This defense, this outside of Nicholls State, has shown that they have not been able to really stop anybody for an entire game. So I think that's a big one. I don't think it's where we're at, and I've seen some of you say fire Dexter McCoy. We're not there, not at that point yet. But if it continues to, this could be the defense could hold them back because the offense is doing great. They're second in the Sun Belt in yards and points. In points. I think they're right up there in total yards. I think they're actually second. They are second in total yards. I know I was just looking at it. Do I still have it? Standings there. Let's go scoring. Yeah, Texas State second in scoring and second in total offense. So yeah, the offense is still going. They still put up 500 yards against Arkansas State. That should be enough for a win. So I really, my worry is on the defensive side of the ball right now. And it hasn't always been that way because we've seen more pressure. We've seen more opportunistic plays that haven't developed this season. So I think that is worrisome for myself. More than the decision. Obviously, got to clean up those decisions. But the defense overall for the rest of the season, if they want to win the Sun Belt West and win the Sun Belt, this is not a Sun Belt championship defense right now. But I appreciate you, Landon Lynch. Next one, Lincoln Perry Stan. God, we got a lot of Perry burners, huh? Perry for Heisman, Lincoln Perry Stan. If there's anybody on the team that deserves a plethora of burner accounts, it's Lincoln Perry. So shout out to you guys. What is it about this team that leads us playing down to our opponents in the Kinney era? I forgot how many times we have lost straight up as double-digit favorites, but it seems to be common. Man, that's one I wish I had read before. I would have looked that one up. How many times have they been double-digit favorites and lost? Feel free to jump in the comments, YouTube, whatever, if you have that one. I won't waste our time searching for that one. But playing down to your opponents, And, I talked about the prevent defense that they did at the end of that last minute, but there was a time, there's been a time with this offense, they seem to play prevent offense, which sounds strange because it's not really a set scheme anybody's supposed to run, but they'll get very conservative, which feels unlike G.J. Kinney. He'll do it only in the middle of the game. In the beginning, in the end, he's going all out. But you feel this lull, this prevent offense that they do. Well, they'll come out the gate screaming. They come out, they did it this game, where the first drive, boom, they scored, they'll get a lead. We've seen it countless times in the G.J. Kinney era, not countless, but a handful of times where they go up 14-0, something like that in the first quarter, and then it's almost a bit of a stalemate. Maybe the other team gets over a couple times, and it's a closer game. Then they're able to finish strong, put their foot on the gas and finish strong, which offensively they did this game. They did do that. They put their foot on the gas and they finished strong. Defense didn't do it in that fourth quarter. But even still going forward with these type of games, these lulls, that 2.5 quarters that I mentioned, I was talking about Brad Jackson wasn't that great in this game. Started out really well, finished really well, but in that middle, that third quarter, that second quarter, and about halfway through the first quarter, it got a little iffy. And really, I mean, you can't just, you've seen it all 5 games with Brad Jackson at this point, and it's either like, okay, maybe that's his process, he starts slow, or they're taking it too easy on the play calling to protect their young quarterback, or to whatever, hold on to a lead. That's when they say it's a cliche, but this is what they mean when they say you're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. When you play like that, you're playing not to lose. You're trying to hold on to what you got and not let them grab it. When you just got to keep going after them. And that doesn't mean going for it on fourth down. It doesn't mean scoring really quick all the time, but it just means consistently doing what you do with your scheme and hammering that. But those lulls in the second and third quarter has been an issue. Appreciate that one, Lincoln Perry Stan. Up next, we got Stallion Jockey. What's up, my guy? Dexter McCoyle. What do we do about the defense? Injuries played a part in Saturday, but it's not like it was great anyway. Is it the scheme, players? What does Kinney have to do to right the ship? Yeah, we saw some injuries for sure. Terry Russell went down. I know Amarian Atwood came back. Will Mitchell was playing at that star position. Or Amarian Atwood started the season, got hurt, and it was Will Mitchell who was actually looking pretty good. But then he got hurt as well, out for the season. But Amarian Atwood is back. That's why I'm not hanging too much criticism on him. He's a young guy, back from injury, had a bit of a tough game, though, against Arkansas State. So I think there is a little bit of injury in there, but you're absolutely right, because even though this was the game where it really was glaring, that you could see, like, okay, all the flaws that we saw of this defense the first 4 games, they formulated and ruined the game on Saturday. And they've got to do something with it. For me, when I look at it, we've seen the scheme successful before. And I'll be cards on the table. It's not a scheme I love, the 4-2-5. It's one that we've seen it work with these coaches, but it's not one that I feel is the best defense that you could put out there. And we've seen it work, and the fact that it's not working, it tells me it's personnel issues. You got to cycle through some guys. Dudes need to be benched when they miss tackles. If they're in the wrong position, if they don't know where they're supposed to be and they're out there arguing with their teammates about, oh, you're there, I'm here, or whatever, pull them, put them on the bench. If they drop an interception, hit the bench. There's got to be some discipline and accountability with these players. Because I know Dexter McCoyle today, he said, what I like about this team is they don't quit. And I guess overall, the season in general, yeah, they don't quit, but I've seen them give up on plays when they get beat. Somebody gets beaten, and they slow down instead of sprinting to the ball. Because even in those situations where you sprint to the ball, you get beat, and the guys go past you with the ball, you still dead sprint at him and try and catch up to him in case somebody else smacks him. He drops the ball, and there you are to recover a fumble or whatever. Just any type of just being around the ball is massive. I mean, we saw there were guys throwing shoulders instead of wrapping up on big catches. It's the little things like that. Where yes, they're not giving up on the game completely, but there are certain plays where they give up, and that should be inexcusable. Because really, there's not a player on this defense right now that is above being benched. There's really not. There's not one guy where it's like, oh, you got to leave him out there. Yes, he messed up, but that's so-and-so. Khalil Alexander, he's close up there, you know. And I know that there's some PFF. He had a bad grade for against Arkansas State, but I attribute a lot of that for him, where they're leaning a lot on Khalil. He has a lot of opportunities to make mistakes, so his grades are going to go lower. That's why PFF sometimes it's you take it with a grain of salt, not to be cliche, but it's they're putting a lot on him at this time because they're not really getting much else off the edge. Good game from Tamir Jackson this last game. Really like seeing from him. Big guy out there. Want to see some more Kennard Snyder. But cycling through these guys, I mean, I think like J.P. Dieter. I really want to see J.P. Dieter, the Arizona State guy. We saw Devarick Woods get in there and look really good. There's DBs back there. I saw Darius Jackson returning a kick for like 20 yards. I was like, look how fast he is. Why is he not at safety? His third year at Texas State. He's transferred in from Mizzou. No, he missed last year with an injury. I don't know, but still a really good athlete. But I think there needs to be more cycling through with these guys and figuring out like, okay, who's the leader? Who's going to get who? When we give them their opportunity, they're going to take it instead of just being out there. But yeah, did I answer your question? I don't think so. I don't know. How do you right the ship? Don't know. The coaches, they'll figure it out. But personnel. They really, if it was me and I was making decisions, it'd be you gotta cycle through your guys. You went out and you recruited a lot of transfers. You got a lot of players in there. You got a lot of high school guys who haven't gotten chances yet. Find the dogs. Appreciate you on that one, Stallion. LA Nation on this next one. GJ's 0-3 after buys. I know. That's a weird one, you know. What is the league average? Sorry. What is the league average or overall after bye weeks? I don't know. That feels like a lot of like research. I'll get you that answer, LA Nation. I don't have it for you right now. I try not to read these too much. I gloss through them just to get a good idea. Mainly I was hoping like anybody ask about recruiting, that's a positive. Anybody ask about how good Brad Jackson looks. But no, yeah, I should have done some more research there. SBC and future pack FBS if possible. Yeah, honestly, I'm intrigued for not just to answer a question on a pod, but for my own benefit. I would like to see those statistics. So LA Nation, my bad, man. I hope you have another question here, so that's good. We'll go right to your other questions. So I don't leave you hanging. I'm passing baseball nut. We'll get back to you, baseball nut. But LA Nation, another one. GJ leaving is a bunch of noise. For all we know, he could have spent the bye week interviewing. I don't think so. It seemed like he was on the recruiting trail and stuff. I want to know what our path to a SBC championship looks like with that loss. Do we have a shot? Yeah, and that's the interesting thing where even when you look at like some of the Oklahoma State articles about coaching the Mike Gundy replacement 2.0, and you see GJ Kinney just knocked off the list one game, and it knocks him off of some of these lists. Who knows if that's what these programs are actually looking at and everything, but man, what a fragile situation to be in as a coach, I mean, it sometimes stuff like that evaporates. I still think he's a P4 coach. I think he has a lot to learn. I still think he's a P4 coach though. I think he's actually in a good position to learn it here at Texas State where, no offense to our esteemed alma mater here, but it's not the biggest stage. There's not a ton of eyes here. So if you do make a mistake, there isn't the same amount of scrutiny and pressure that you would face when in some of these bigger programs. So it might be beneficial for him to stay through next season. See, there you go. I'm campaigning. There you go. Come on. Bobcats need you in the pack, GJ. Now it is disappointing, honestly, to see for him personally to see him get knocked off some of these lists because I feel like he deserves to be up there, even though there are some things he needs to fix. The bye weeks, October, what's going on in October, 9-8 against the Sun Belt. There are issues to definitely work on. So I don't think it was a bunch of noise last week, and it still may not be a bunch of noise. I would imagine he's still a candidate on some people's lists, but it dwindles less and less with more situations like we saw on Saturday. But good stuff, LA Nation. I appreciate you. Sorry, long episode here. Hope everyone's hanging in there still. Hope you're doing well. Baseball Nut, my guy, Baseball Nut. Got to see you. Got to come see you this season. feel like I haven't seen you in a bit. Maybe the bowl game was last time I saw you. What is your opinion on playing a prevent defense the length of the field without change? I don't like it. I didn't like it one bit, baseball nut. The idea is to keep everything in front of you, but Kef could complete passes right down the field against the prevent defenses. Nah, I wouldn't go that far. They could punt it. I got a leg on me. The only thing a prevent defense prevents is winning. Wow, there you go. My guy baseball nut. Great minds think alike. I'm not a fan of the prevent defense at all. In the same breath, it's for different reasons. It's why I don't really love man coverage. I love a good zone. I like guys having their areas instead of specific players that they are in charge of. And a prevent defense, yeah, it is a zone, but the zone is in front of you, like you just said. So there you can still get chunks of yards. Somebody misses a tackle, they're able to get upfield, makes it easier to get to the sideline. I do not like a prevent defense. I am with you. That is for better or worse, the Maddenification of football, I feel. The prevent defense, because it was always an option when you played Madden. Prevent defense when you have a lead, and yeah, in Madden it works out great, but rely on your scheme. Don't switch it up in the last little bit. So with you, baseball nut. Good stuff, baseball nut. This one's from my guy Schmeeb, SCHMEEB at TXST. Please win. Love the account, my guy. Who has better clock management? Maroon and Golden or our coaching staff? Maroon and Gold enjoyer. It's an at. I'm going to say the coaching staff just because I don't really know. Maroon and Gold enjoyer. They've had some bad moments for sure, but there's a lot of stress in the situation. Who knows? I don't know Maroon and Golden. I don't know how he would handle it. He may need to breathe through a paper bag with all the pressure on. So, it's. I get it. It's a veiled shot at their clock management. Not veiled, really. There wasn't much of a veil on it. Shout out to Shmeeb. Good question, man. I think. Pitt/Texas State fan. Both, huh? Yeah, I've seen you out there, my guy. At H-Town Pitt TXST on Twitter. Probably missed it. You didn't actually, because I said I was going to record yesterday afternoon. And I was funny. I was starting to prep, like I was saying. And I was like, I want to hear from them before. Especially because my thoughts on the defense, it felt like a lot more people were mad at the decisions that were made leading up to that last drive by Arkansas State. When I look at that drive and things that happened before, and I just wanted to really hear from G.J. Kinney and others about that whole situation. But here we go. Pitt Tech State fan incoming. I hope they play Kenny Pickett, my guy. Bench Geno Smith. Kenny Pickett's on the Raiders bench. Let's go. Let's go, Pitt. He has huge hands. I don't care what anybody says. The biggest hands. I know Texas State can still win the Sun Belt. Oh, that reminds me. Somebody asked about the Sun Belt earlier, so we'll answer both. I'm gonna pull up the. I didn't answer that. Whoever's question that was the second part of it, was the Sun Belt West and what they can do, and I think he's asking about that as well. So we'll pull up the Sun Belt standings right now and go over all that. What's it look like? It is the Sun Belt West still in play. It kind of kills the college football playoff though, right? Yes, I would say so. 2 losses. Like that spot is probably going to whoever wins the American or Old Dominion / James Madison. Talking about Texas State's playoff chances, that one spot, that 12th spot that they designate. I don't think Texas State can get it with 2 losses. It would have to be a lot of losses across the board. I mean, you mentioned it, Old Dominion or James Madison. Hey, if they win the Sun Belt, they could be in there. But I even think both those programs have a loss. I look at someone, USF is getting a lot of love, especially in the AP poll. Their one loss is to Miami, who's looking really good. But then you have UNT, who's 5-0. Now I'm thinking about it. I think that's a matchup this weekend, isn't it? UNT is taking on USF, so that's a great one. That's a G5 banger right there. But that's going to be there's a lot of other candidates for that playoff spot now that aren't Texas State at this time. But that being said, what are the chances like in the Sun Belt West? Well, let's pull them up. Let's go to them, and we'll get to The question from earlier as well that we'll answer with this one. Right now, Texas State is second to last in the Sun Belt West at 0-1. They're one of 2 teams in the Sun Belt West with a loss in conference. South Alabama already has 2 losses. Tough break for the Jags. At the top of the West Division, we have Southern Miss, who's also 3-2, but 1-0 in the Sun Belt. Troy, also 3-2, but 1-0 in the Sun Belt. ULM, also 3-2, 1-0 in the Sun Belt. So the top 3 teams in the Sun Belt West are 3-2, just like Texas State, with a 1-win difference in the Sun Belt. Texas State plays all 3 of those teams. So still a chance to climb up there. And as we continue down the list, Louisiana, they are 2-3, but they are 4th in the West Division because they are 1-0 because they beat, just clicked on their name. Who is their 1-win? Oh, Marshall. There we go. Marshall. Oh, okay. Last weekend, not this past one. They beat Marshall 54-51. Oh, yeah, that's right. Lunch. Yeah, I remember that guy. They threw in their, I watched that game. I don't know how I could forget it. They threw in their backup quarterback in the second half, and he rattled off 5 touchdowns. Sun Belt Player of the Week. Of course, Raging Cajuns, they always figure it out before they play Texas State. I want to be there, Lafayette this year. I want to go. Can't leave the Sun Belt over against the Raging Cajuns because they got the Troy monkey off their back last year. But anyways, we're back to it. The top 4 teams in the Sun Belt, one of them has a worse record than Texas State, worse overall record than Texas State. The other 3 have identical records. So the Bobcats need to buckle their chin straps and get after it, but they could still take the Sun Belt West. They're going to have either a James Madison juggernaut or an Old Dominion juggernaut at the end of the season. Both of them 4-1. Both of them haven't lost a conference game yet. Old Dominion on a 4-game winning streak over here. They're looking good. That's going to be, and Bobcats, of course, they have James Madison Tuesday game here in San Marcos, so they'll have a big test on that Tuesday night. And Old Dominion's a team that beat them last season. They weren't nearly as good last year. But yes, there is absolutely a path to still take the Sun Belt West. It's going to take a lot after coming out 0-1. You're going to have to go near perfect. You have probably room for 1 or 2 more losses. 2 is probably too many. You have room for about another loss, really, to get in there. And obviously a lot of it depends on how some of the other teams do. But now that they're all facing each other, it's a horse of a different color. But still a chance. They are not out of winning the Sun Belt or taking the Sun Belt West. But good stuff. Pitt/Texas State. Shout out to you. Larry Fitzgerald. That's who I think of with Pitt. Man, another problem with my Raiders, they didn't draft Larry Fitzgerald. Can't remember who they didn't draft that year, but I remember it wasn't Larry Fitzgerald. One day I'll just have a Raiders complaint episode. Nobody will listen to it except my dad. Shout out to my dad. Kevin Muth next up, at KMuth74, former Bobcat football player, I should say. We're all former and current Bobcats, but this guy played on the O-line there. At what year of being a head coach does a coach no longer get to use he's young head coach and he will learn excuse for poor clock management and not taking points when you should? Yeah, I feel like I've addressed that one pretty close, but I think it expired on Saturday. I think that was the last time. That's it. Okay, it's the last time, and it's barely one. It's like, okay, you're still young, but not that young. Had some of these issues before. Got to start locking it in and really taking care of it at the end of these games. But yeah, no, I'm with you, Kevin. This is it gets, the excuse gets more tired as we go on, for sure. Appreciate you jumping in, man. Mike McDaniel, my guy Mike. What's up, Mike? Ran into Mike earlier this season. How do we have our wide receiver 1 returning punts and our RB1 returning kicks? Perry's returns kicks. Did I miss that? Wide receiver 1 with Bo Sparks. I'll be honest, Bo Sparks had a tough game on Saturday, whether it's fielding punts. He had that play. It looked like it was a busted trick play, or maybe they were going to get him to pass the ball, and it would have lost 26 yards, but there was a penalty on Arkansas State. A flimsy face mask saved a 26-yard loss on that one. Tough game for Bo Sparks, but usually he's pretty sound at punt returner. I mean, we saw last year, brought it up. I feel too much. I feel like I bring it up all the time, but do it again. He had a game with 2 80-yard punt returns in one game. One for a touchdown, one he got stopped. So he can move. I don't hate that one as much. I don't know if this is a hot take, but that incredible first game to start the season. Obviously, it's hard to replicate a 4 touchdown performance, but I still think wide receiver one's up in the air, and Chris Don is coming for it. So I think that's still up in the air. So if he was a wide receiver 2, would it make you feel a little better about it? Or maybe you mean a starting wide receiver returning punts, but I don't know. It's an important part of the field, so I understand wanting to have your best athletes out there. I didn't know if it was Perry returning kicks out there. I was looking a lot for DJ Taylor, the Cincinnati transfer. He was a returner. I really thought they were going to utilize him more in returning some of this. But yeah, I don't know if I love using a running back on kick returns, especially when they've been using those running backs a lot, and you already have Torrance Burgess hurt. So might be something to reflect on there. But I will go on record saying I'm perfectly fine with Bo Sparks returning punts. I think he's a great punt returner, and he could house one, and that would change a game. Appreciate you, Mike. Hope I run into you again, maybe at homecoming. Number Cruncher, my guy Russell Tuncap. What's up, Russ? At @RTuncap on Twitter. What do you think is most concerning for Dr. Dampus and Don Coryell, the men's basketball program or the current drama with GJ, parentheses, keeping GJ, the state of football program, etc., in parentheses, question mark. Which one is more? I would say football is king, so it's hard not to put that one in front of anything with the GJ staying or the drama there. I think that's obviously, it's very important. It's at the forefront of anything they do, is maintaining football and everything. But I think that it used to be, here's football and everything that entails there, and basketball and other sports were a little more down here. I think moving to the pack, you're moving it right here. And sorry, this is a visual exercise I'm doing if you're watching on the YouTube channel. I think it moves up. It's not even right next to it, but it's closer. It's higher up there. It's a lot more important moving to the pack with some great teams. Gonzaga, San Diego State has a solid program as well. It's going to be a strong basketball conference, and you don't want to be at the bottom of that. And to be totally honest, men's basketball has left a lot to be desired the last 3 seasons. It has not been great. There has, not just on the court, but in the stands, there haven't been a ton of fans. I know some of you old heads out there like me, if you remember before the pandemic, before 2020, specifically from like 2017 to through the 2019 season into that 2020 season before it got cut off with the pandemic, we saw a lot of these crowds, incredible crowds. I think about UTA coming to San Marcos, overtime game, 6,000 people at Strahan Arena. It was incredible. It was so much life. They lost that game, Texas State, by the way. That's okay. That's not the important part of the story. It's 6,000 people in the stands. It was incredible, and it was starting to get more and more alive, and that momentum was cut short by the pandemic. It was cut even shorter when Danny Casper was let go for racially insensitive comments to his players. Woof, that was a tough one. They were able to still have success with Terrence Johnson the first 2 seasons, winning the Sun Belt regular season championship, but not doing anything once they got to the tournament. And then the last 3 seasons have been very much a letdown during the regular season, with some gutsy performances in the tournament, but overall during the season, a letdown. Year 6 of TJ, Terrence Johnson there as the coach. It's important. The Pac-12 basketball is going to be important in this conference, so I think it needs to be taken very, very seriously. But above all, football, retaining DJ Kinney, that's what the most eyes are on. That's what's going to keep a lot of the checks coming in. So that one should be at the forefront, with a footnote of saying basketball is a lot higher than it was, say, this time last year, say this time in the spring, I mean, maybe not in the spring when they kind of knew something like this was going to happen, but it is important now. great stuff. Thanks for bringing that one up. Basketball. We're coming up. Basketball's real soon, right around the corner. A lot of new players, a lot of changes with the staff. We're going to see how that goes for basketball. Appreciate you, Russ. Hope I see you this season, man. We got Brock Cat at Brock. Oh, that's too many numbers. Just Brock Cat. FBS schedules took our 2029-2030 matchup with Army off the schedule. Are those games off the board now? Also, can someone tell GJ it's okay to run the clock and kick the field goal? You guys won't let it go. But I'm with you. He's got to, 100%. It shouldn't let it go. I'm not saying, I did point it out to say you should. Honestly, I got to say this. Hats off to all you sickos out there, because the standard is the standard now amongst you. Okay? I mean, it fell off the wheels one game, and boom, you're all in there. There's no more happy to be here. There's no more, all shucks, gosh, gee, golly, at least we tried and all had fun. No, you guys want wins. And this is win now or get bent. So I get it. I love it. The standard is the standard now. Keep that standard always. Even if, sometimes some of you get a little ugly out there with it, but I don't mind it, because I know it's out of a place of passion, and you want wins. And it didn't used to be that way. It used to be a beaten down fan base, and so I like to see the saltiness out of all of you, and even peppering it in there and giving a little jab at GJ at the end of the scheduling one. But let's go to the scheduling part. 2029-2030 matchup with Army. As far as I know, that one is off. I think the Pac-12 move had a lot to do with that. We're going to see some of that in the upcoming years with changes. So that one is open. Don't know exactly what they're looking to fill in there, but interesting stuff. I will keep you updated on that one, Brock Cat. And yet, I feel like we asked him about it at the press conference a good amount. I posted it on Twitter. You can find it out there. I'm sure it's on YouTube and everything now, the press conference. So I think he gets the message. Hopefully it sticks. Last one here, college sports guy - TXST. Is Kinney as hot of a head coach as we all act like he is? I think he is. I'll finish the question. Yes, he's taking this program to a new level, but this hype because of his ability to coach or new culture? I would argue that the new culture is because of his ability to coach. And I think creating a culture like that is a massive part of becoming a successful coach at the collegiate level. Yeah, there's some details that he needs to clean up as a coach, but you can't deny that as far as someone who can galvanize a fan base by getting people fired up for this, by going out and recruiting. I mean, he's done it 3 different times with these recruiting classes. This current one, 2026, is shaping up to be the best they've ever had. High school recruiting class, not transfer class. This is their best high school class ever. Everything that he's done around the program is a part of being a coach in college. That is absolutely a part of it. Some would argue that's the hardest part about it. I don't know. As I say that out loud, I can't, the X's and O's, there's a lot of work and film study and all that stuff you have to concoct, but it's a hard part to do it, to get people to believe you and buy into what you're doing and to change their life to come play for you or to support you or what have you. That is the culture. The culture side of it is fantastic. What he's built, the culture, the recruiting side of it, the way they've been able to get the facilities upgraded by motivating donors and everything like that. I think a lot of that is great. As hot of a coach as we like to act like he is, I still think he's a great coach. He makes mistakes. Absolutely. There's decisions that he wishes he could have back and that a lot of us wish he could take back as well. But the aspects of the in-game tactician side of it, it's there's going to be decisions that you're going to miss, and it's going to happen, and you're going to get criticism for it. I don't think that makes him a bad coach. I think he also took on a job here at Texas State that was very, very hard. The last 4 coaches before him that I covered, G.J. Kinney's my 5th coach, Brad Wright to G.J. Kinney. It was a really tough situation when he got here in 2022. And it was down really bad. It had been 8+ years of not winning more than 4 games. Of everybody they think about Texas State football and it's the bottom of the barrel, and having to bring back alumni and bring back fans and just to get that support. This is a tough job. That's why even when I talk about a Sun Belt record at 9-8, It's still a lot better than Spavs or Withers or maybe Fran. I'd have to go look at Fran's, but it was a tough job that he took over. And yeah, one game you see these mistakes like that. You think about the Sam Houston one. He has these moments throughout the season that, as he matures as a coach, hopefully he figures it out and he stops making those mistakes. But no, he's still a great coach. And even if he gets taken off P4 list, he's not off my P4 candidate list. I mean, the guy, trust me, like when I tell you that this place was, it was so many coaches failed here and failed in areas that he didn't. Yes, yeah, he should have ran the clock and kicked a field goal. But I think that one decision doesn't make him a bad coach or not a hot coach. I still think he is very much an up and coming coach. Did a lot with very little. You know, what do they say? You turned chicken turd into chicken tenders. That's what he did. It's good chicken tenders. Raising Cane's chicken tenders. Look at that. Free plug for Raising Cane's. They closed the Zaxby's by my house, and I'm a little disappointed. Really love the Zaxby softs. But all right, that was the last question. Good stuff. G.J. Kinney, still a great coach. Simmer down, everybody. No, I get it, though. Stay salty. I love the salt, like I was saying earlier. It's good stuff. The standard is the standard here now. Oh, that was a fun episode. We are, I'm there. It is. I found it. I was looking for the ad thing I have to push. So here you go. Bam! Austin Patchmaster. Our guys at Austin Patchmaster. 3rd season back with Win Now or Get Bent. Hole in the wall? Give APM a call. Drywall repair, paint jobs, popcorn removal, and more. Whether you're moving in, moving out, or just looking to upgrade, Austin Patchmaster has you covered. Owned and operated by a Tech State grad and a true Tech State sicko, Michael Clements, Austin Patchmaster is one of our first sponsors, and they are back for 2025 with over 200 plus 5-star reviews on Google. Check them out. Hit them up and mention WNOGB for a 10% discount. You can find them at austin.patchmaster.com. That's austin.patchmaster.com. Call them up at 512-200-3888. That's 512-200-3888. Austin Patchmaster. All right. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/winnoworgetbent. WNOGB.com, still under construction. We'll get there, though. Got the Mad Cat shirt right here. I'm going to get on that merch site and fix all that. Until then, bhihats.com. Their supplies are limited. Get these hats. Doesn't that state one look great? I just remembered I'm wearing the state. I got to get that back for my wife. Stealing my Cats by 90 hat. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. If you're not, get on there. Like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Awesome numbers on our YouTube this whole year, 2025. So thank you all very much for tuning in. Big shout out to our audio heads. If you're listening right now with some headphones in your ears because you're a busy guy, you're on the go, or gal, don't mean to discriminate. You're busy, you got things to do, you're an audio head. That's how I consume pods. So I appreciate all of you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so it downloads right to your device. Make sure you hit that a comment. If you're on Apple or Spotify, you can leave little comments and a rating. Get in there. Leave something positive about the Wizard. Man's killing it. He's killing it. Wizard Wednesday. Check it out. Wizard Wednesday every Wednesday. We'll have another cinematic recap after the homecoming game as well. Awesome stuff. Check out our cinematic recap series on YouTube as well. Need more views on those. Thank you to TGC LLC, to Austin Patchmaster, and to bhihats.com. Shout out to Zach Webb, the Wizard. Once again, check out Wizard Wednesday. And thank you to you sickos for always tuning in. Without you, we would be shouting into the void. And because you are here, we're not. We can hear back from people. Like today on the mailbag. We get to hear from you. It's like an echo back a little bit. It's nice to know that we're all frustrated by the same things, but we all still love the Bobcats. Still believe. Still, defense, stop somebody from time to time and get a couple turnovers and give Brad Jackson some reprieve, and lots of good stuff can happen. Could still take the Sun Belt. It's still in play. That college football playoff, honestly, I haven't been hyping the college football playoff spot at all. Mainly because I think Tech State needs to win the Sun Belt, win conference before we talk about any of that. Look at me. This is the end. This is the end of the pod. I can't ever stop. Here I go. But Sun Belt. Still in contention. Hang in there, sickos. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Win now or get bent.